Hey guys, welcome back to the Rock Your Comeback podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Eaton, and I'm super excited about today. Honestly, like so much of the self-improvement world is built on this idea that something about us needs to be fixed before we're allowed to feel good. And that once we heal more or optimize more or regulate better, that life will finally open up and everything will be okay. And today we're asking the question, what if that belief is actually what keeps people stuck? And we're doing that with Sarah Ritondale, the host of the Wellish podcast, who I had the most fun with the other day. And I was like, you have to be on my podcast because she's such a bright light. And Wellish is a self-improvement podcast for imperfect people who want to feel good without fixing everything about themselves first. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, I'm so excited to talk to you.
This is going to be amazing. I
True.
can feel it in my bones. We're going to vibe. We're just going
It's
to have
true.
fun. We're
It's
going to
gonna be
have
so
fun.
good.
So you host a podcast for imperfect people who want to feel good
Hmm.
without turning themselves into a project. And I think that's a big problem right now. And I think the access to the amount of social media or the amount of information is overwhelming us and making us feel like there's no end to healing. What is your take on that?
I think that the biggest thing with the media and all of the input that we're constantly getting, because it's not social media is such like a hyper focused real example that is very valid in why we think this. But I also feel a lot of it comes back to just everything that we've learned societally from friends, from family. There's just so many learned narratives about what we could be doing better and why we're not good enough now and what's wrong with us and the things that we could do to fix ourselves and follow these 5 tips and then you'll be confident finally. And it just never feels that way. There's always some new shit that pops up that impacts the way that we view ourselves and how we show up in the world. And it doesn't feel good to feel like there's never this point that we can finally feel like, okay, I'm good enough now. I can just like live my life. And the only way that we can achieve that is through conscious choice ourselves, that we have to choose that we're going to allow ourselves to be good enough amidst all of the imperfection and the things that we're still working on and navigate our lives from that point of view compared to like this constant problem solving, fixing it mentality.
I love that you highlighted the just that feeling of not good enough because I feel like when people start to heal, and it depends on what they choose to focus on while they're healing, right? Or while they're doing that work of it, are we going for this perfect standard of what my perfect life would look like and I'll only arrive when all of those things happen. And I think that it's messy. Healing is messy. And what I love about you is that you're really open about the things that aren't working. I think you had a story about going to therapy earlier today. We're talking about these things and these big ideas, and you're still doing the inner work, right? So I
Mhm.
love that you take that approach of real life looks like this. Life be lifing. Things are going to show up, and not every day is going to be perfect.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. And I think that it's so important to highlight that because going back to the social media concept, we get this false idea of what it's going to look like when we can do everything perfectly. And that's all we have an example of. We don't get the example of what a real life person on a real life day-to-day basis looks like, and that people's days aren't packed full with this like aesthetic ideal of how they're living their life. Let that be wellness. And it's, going to the gym and eating on diet all of the time and doing everything right. Or it's you're hanging out with all of these friends and you're on a boat and you're in Greece and you're traveling places. Or it's dating and you are completely unbothered and you're fully confident and you never screw anything up and you never show your mental illness literally one bit to the person you're dating. So like it's not real life and it's not how anybody lives, but it's all that we ever see from anybody. And I mentioned the social media thing, and it's obviously so like hyper, we see it so much there and we're inundated so much with it there. But I mean, even without it, your friends aren't sitting there telling you about the mentally ill thing that they did, most likely. I mean, of course, you have friends that you're doing with. But we, even in real life, are seeing people's highlight reels. And, you walk past a person on the street that has an incredible outfit and you're like, God, fuck, why do my outfits always suck? Why do I have no fashion sense? And it's just like that person just happened to like look good in that moment, but they're probably also rotting on the couch just like you are in other areas of their lives.
I love the way that you're breaking this down though, because the reality is that we all have our stuff going on. And I love the idea of just normalizing that and talking about the messy stuff. And you can talk about your wins too. And that's the thing.
Mhm.
It's like what you're trying to say and what you stand for is that there's this holistic thing that we must start looking at is that all of the things, the healing, the not healing, the mess, the cleanup, all of it is equally important to our life experience and our life situation and like just being a human.
Yeah. It makes you you. Like if we're constantly trying to like get to this ideal version of us, this dream version of us, which is great. And like there's absolutely I mean, I host a self-improvement podcast. I'm obviously all for self-improvement and doing right by us, but with that, you have to accept yourself as you are now as the whole version because that ideal you is not some made up imaginary being that you're picturing in your head. Like that's you. It's you. So like you have to allow yourself to be that person and to choose that person and to embody who you want to be whenever you choose to do that. You said when we recorded for my podcast, you had mentioned that you think that healing could be really quick, right? Didn't you say that to me? Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and I really resonated with me because I just think it's so true that we think that like we have to get to this point of like once I cross this threshold, then I'm gonna be enough, and then my life is just gonna click into place, and everything's gonna be easy. When in reality, you don't have to work that hard. Like it can be a choice that happens in the blink of an eye if you choose to let it be that way.
And I think a lot of people are going to have the question, how do I accept myself as I am without staying stuck?
I mean, and obviously that's fair. Oh, somebody said some awesome thing to me. One of the guests that I had on my show. Your feet are pointed in the direction of where you want to go, but that you're focused where they're at right now. So like you're always looking towards where you want to be and noticing and acknowledging where you want to grow into, but being able to live where your feet are and be present in the current moment and trust yourself that you are smart enough and capable enough in order to get closer to that ideal version of you.
How did you come to trust yourself? I know that we talked about, or you were talking about kind of a major personal setback. What was your journey back to figuring out who you are now? I think a lot of listeners are at this place where they've experienced a major setback and they're just trying to figure out what's going on at this point.
Okay, so my self-trust journey has been kind of extensive and I mean it goes as far back as I would say like elementary school is when like things like started to be destroyed for me like that I was very much a people pleaser. Like I was very much living for everybody else. I was so afraid to be myself and be rejected because I felt that I learned early on that if I was myself and people didn't want to be around me, it just contributed all to this like good enough wound that I now still carry. So I think that through that, then I developed into dating and wanting to seek male validation. And I had my family kind of, my dad had an affair. And so like that created a lot of trust issues in that dynamic. And that all kind of snowballed into being engaged to a narcissist that ended up fully randomly blindsiding and abandoning me one day. So I realized like when that happened, I turned around and I looked back and was like, oh my God, I've never lived in like this self-trust space. And Wellish, I started several years before my engagement ended. So like I believed that I trusted myself. I had been doing all of this like a decade worth of self improvement inside of myself. And I fully believed that I was this like healed person. I mean, I remember like right before that happened, even having the conscious thought of like, what else is there to learn? I've figured it all out. I'm good to go. And then of course the universe steps in and is like, absolutely not, bitch. Here you go. Here's like a whole plate full of stuff. So I I think that like from it was the recognizing that I had lived my whole life from a place of self-abandonment was when my like true genuine self-trust was able to come into play in a real way compared to just, being able to set boundaries and be more confident and do like right by me and not caring what other people think and making choices for myself. Like those things all happened, but and so my self-trust built in like small ways, but like the true profound way was the recognizing taking accountability for the fact that I had been abandoning myself for so long. And how can I live a life that's in alignment with who I truly am if I'm constantly abandoning myself? So I once I realized that and could start making choices with that in the back of my mind and kind of building the habit of not doing that anymore, which was uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to heal. It's uncomfortable to do these things. You feel like you're making the wrong choices and like you're not doing the right things because it's so different than anything that you've ever done. So I think being able to like really recognize what my role was in why I didn't trust myself was the pivotal thing for me to realize that, I to start building that self-trust in itself. I'm gonna turn my
I
light back.
I'm snapping for you right now. I just feel like we're part of a club. We're part of the Recovering People Pleasers Club, and
Yes.
that's me as well. So I feel you on that level. And I'm just, if you guys are part of the Recovering People Pleasers Club, or you would like to join, we are accepting members who are ready to leave their people pleasing ways
It's true
behind.
all the time.
DM us. We're gonna form a group, right?
That's
Um,
right. We
I
love to
think
feel less alone.
right. So this good enough wound shows up exactly as that, right? If I don't have wants or needs, then I'll be enough. People will accept me. People will like me. People will want me around if I serve them in whatever way I can, irregardless of how I actually feel about it. A lot of people are doing it. What did that look like while you were self-abandoning? Do you have any examples? So if somebody's listening, that they can recognize how that might show up.
Well, I think a big one is ignoring your intuition, but I say that lightly because it's so easy, in my opinion, to think that you're not. And I think one of the biggest things that has been able to help me with that is recognizing that I was hearing my intuition, but I wasn't listening to it. And I would think that I was listening to it just because I was hearing it. I was hearing it and then making the conscious choice to make an excuse for something or to justify something or seek clarity about something. And then if I could logically make something make more sense, then I could be like, oh, okay, I've solved that problem. I figured it out. Now I'm making the conscious choice to essentially go against my intuition. But at that point, I was saying I'm making the conscious choice to accept things as they are and then move forward anyways. But, that's not how it's not how you're gonna live in alignment with yourself. At the end of the day, like that intuition always wins. And you'll be this sounds like so dramatic, but I just feel like you'll be miserable at the end of the day if you don't actually listen to it.
This is so important. I want everybody to hear what she's saying is that listening and hearing are two different things. And a lot of people who are very intuitive and like women are portals to another world. We're intuitive. If you think we're
It's
like
true.
the soul through our body and not be intuitive creatures, you're on crack. Like there's just there's no um separateness for women specifically. I think everybody's intuitive. So if you're a man, don't come at me. Like you are intuitive as well. I just women are special. I'm just gonna say it.
It's true.
But there is a difference between hearing your intuition and actually listening to it. But there is a process of learning how to trust it because we can
Yes.
get, and that's really what it comes down to. That's the difference between hearing and listening is that trust. And I believe trust in your intuition also comes with trust in yourself. Like, do I have the confidence to follow through on what I know is best for me? And those pieces of self-abandonment and not listening to your intuition, those go hand in hand. So when you can start to say and tune back into what you need, that is the game changer. Where did that process start leading you in? How uncomfortable was it when you started saying, wait a second, I'm going to stop making everybody else happy and just try it out, play around, and see where I can take my life?
I mean, really uncomfortable, really wildly uncomfortable. And it's not even uncomfortable in the way that you might think, like, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it was like, but when I say that, I say, like, setting boundaries is uncomfortable and saying no to people is uncomfortable. Like, as when you're not used to doing those things, that's uncomfortable to do. You do the thing, say no, let's say, for example, and then you realize the world doesn't fall apart, and then you realize that you can keep doing it, and you build self-trust by doing that over and over again. So like that's uncomfortable. But when I say uncomfortable, I mean things that are more deep, like just more like life-changing, life-altering decisions on a day-to-day basis. Like, for example, feeling like you're not like making the right choices with your life. Where am I going to live? Like I'm, you start dating and you're questioning yourself constantly, and what you should be doing, and what the right thing to say is, and how you should handle yourself, and how many people you should be dating at a certain point. Or like, let's say you're, going out with your friends. What things how should you show up? Like, am I supposed to be more bubbly and exuberant and loud and in your face? Or my true self really doesn't have anything to say right now. So I'm just gonna sit here, because I don't have to contribute to the conversation like I might have always thought that I needed to in order to be liked. So I think that, like, being able to recognize where, like, again, kind of that idea of like taking accountability for like where you're making that mistake, but the discomfort of feeling like you're not following what the right path, like that you're making the wrong choices because they're different choices than you've made before. So it causes you to start to question yourself, which is where, like, what you're saying about like trusting your intuition is so crucial, because it really does come back to trust. And a lot of the time I think that we feel like we have to prove it to ourselves that our intuition is telling the truth, when it can just be as simple as like, you think that, and that's enough.
And that's enough. I just got off a podcast interview and she was like, talk to me about intuition. I said, intuition is I don't know why, but. And it
Mm-hmm.
can be summarized that easy, is that I don't know why, but one of the things you said a lot in that was when you're in that new space, there's a lot of pressure, but it's usually self-imposed through the word should. So everybody listening, I just want you to watch your life, and especially in those uncomfortable moments of what you should be feeling or should be thinking or should be doing or should be showing up as. And I like to eliminate that word because it does not actually have a function, and ask yourself, like, do I want to? Do I want to? Because this gives you your power back. Should takes you your power away, and it's this external energy that comes in pressurizing you, but it's not actually coming from outside of you. It's coming from within you, and we can resolve it by just making it a choice one way or another. And so we can do these small micro shifts, like Sarah's talking about, to step back into your power when it comes to your life and when it comes to your journey. Because here's the thing, life's going to knock every single one of us on our ass every now and then.
Hmm. And I just feel like it's not that, like, it just is so important for me to emphasize that it's just that simple. Like, we hear all of the self-improvement stuff and we're seeking it constantly. And there is no other way to describe the feeling of a comeback or a glow up or a self-realization than profound. Like, it is liberating and it is empowering. And when you feel that and you click into it, you're like, holy shit, this is crazy. I've never felt like this in my life. This is incredible. But the problem with that language is that it makes it sound like something big has to happen in order to feel that way, or that you have to do something big, or I have to do more in order to achieve that big liberating shift, when it's not that. Like, it's just as simple as you're describing it, Nicole. And it's I think that was like one of the biggest shifts.
One of my favorite things about working with people is that they feel like their life looks the same, but I get to remind them that 3 months ago they would have responded to that situation entirely differently. And that is change. everyone looks at change like they want it to be some grandiose thing, that they want some big external factor to just shift and change. But the big change that will lead to those things comes from within. It comes from those micro moments where you're just making a new choice, exactly what you just said. It's that I'm going to handle this differently. I've been telling people I'm in hibernation and I'm okay with that. I'm not
Hmm.
hustling right now. I'm taking interviews when I feel called to and when it feels aligned with me. I'm taking speaking gigs when it feels aligned with me, and everything else I'm turning down for right now. And I think a past version of me would have wanted to make meaning out of that, and to be like, oh, well, Nicole, if you really want this in your life, you're not working hard enough or you're whatever. But at the end of the day, like, I'm giving myself permission to follow what I need to do at this moment in time. And it feels so juicy and good. I got to paint by numbers. I'm making a book nook with my kids, like all these crazy things. But it's bringing me joy in this moment. And so I could should myself into saying, like, I'm not doing enough, but at the end of the day, I'm following my alignment, and opportunities that are really cool are just dropping in out of thin air because I'm following my alignment.
Yeah, 100%. I love you saying that, do I want to? Like, I think that, I mean, I'm going to take that out of this and use it because it's so, at the end of the day, that's what it is. But I don't know. I just like, I never recognize it as that. I come back to the alignment, but asking, like, do I want to? Do I want to say something right now? Or do I want to just sit here? And I want to just sit here. Okay, you're allowed to just sit here. Like, again, it's just not that serious. We make it so serious inside of our heads. And life is just supposed to be good and feel good. And that's the goal at the end of the day, is just to enjoy our life as much as possible while we have it.
How do you make your life feel good when it feels hard?
Well, I love that question. Let's think. So I would say my biggest thing that helps me and what I find helps a lot of people is coming back to the short term. Like, I think when we are so caught in the catastrophes that are happening, whether they're day-to-day catastrophes, your car gets towed, or, your whole world falls apart, we're thinking long term. Like, you're thinking like let's use the towing thing for example, because that seems like a pretty short term thing, but we turn it into this like gigantic mess that I'm like, okay, well that's $400 down the drain, and now I'm not going to be able to pay for my groceries. And do I need to get a new job? And like maybe I don't make enough money, and I need to like change my whole life. And it's just like, hey, whoa, babe, hey, slow down. Let's bring it back to today. What can we do today to make ourselves feel good? I trust myself to handle this situation. I will scrape up the money, and it's going to suck. And I hate that. But whatever. I just have to, do it right now and move on with my life. And like kind of coming back to that, like recognizing what you're feeling in your body instead of like creating this entire narrative out of absolutely everything, thinking ourselves into some problem solving solution, making meaning out of everything, doing all of the things that our brains go, a million miles per hour and do.
Acceptance neutralizes chaos. Like it just creates this balance for ourselves. And I love what you said about the short term. And I really want the listeners to hear that because, again, when you're in this personal growth world, it's like the gap between where you're at and where you want to be. And that can feel like a really long distance when you're getting just hit upside the head with stuff, right? So focusing on like, what can I control about taking care of myself today? I'm going to tell a friend's story, and I'm going to try to make it as unidentifiable as possible. But I had a friend, January 2nd, I got a call while I'm working out at the gym at like 8 a.m. My friend, who is like the most straight edge person you've ever met, is in jail. Jail, and it's 8 a.m. She was on her way to work. She works very far away, but she's on her way to work, and she got pulled over and they thought she didn't have insurance. And so threw her in the back of the car, the entire thing, handcuffed, strip searched, all the things. So
Poor friend.
she calls me and I just get this voicemail because I screen my calls like crazy. Hey, it's so and so. I'm in jail. And I'm like, what? what on earth? I've never had anybody I know in jail, so I don't know what to do. She didn't leave a number to call, so I'm just like going through and trying to call these numbers back. But for her, it was like this crazy swirling chaos, and it was a mistake on her insurance company's end, which is wild, like just crazy.
Hmm.
But I ended up driving 2.5 hours to go pick her up from jail as this new year started. And it was really this like conversation about, she was just so humiliated and she was just sobbing when I got to her. And I'm like,
Oh.
listen, A, this could have happened to anybody. Like this isn't something you deserved or did on purpose. Like it could have happened to anybody. And it was really good because we had an opportunity to just be like, I don't know why this happened, but let me tell you a fun little story, okay? So because she got pulled over and then arrested, they impounded her car. So we had to go get her car from the impound lot. And it was $319, which is a very specific number, right? That's very
Hmm.
specific. I never have cash on me, but for some
No,
reason that day I did. And my daughter is with me because she's going to drive my friend's car back. And we pooled together our money. We have exactly down to the dollar
no,
$319.
no. See, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. Like that shit is so weird.
So after that, we're all driving home. We stop and grab lunch, and we're just all kind of like, I don't know why this happened, but this feels weirdly supported. And so sometimes we can be in the chaos of our life and we don't know the reason. I don't know the reason. I don't know why this happened. I don't know what it was supposed to do for her. But the fact that that occurred, it was just like, wait, there's something important here, and I guess we'll have to wait and see it out. And so when you're in chaos, it's really important if you're unable to look at that gap between where you want to be and where you're at, or where you're at just feels really heavy and hard, that sometimes accepting and being open and willing to believe like there's still something here for me to know, to learn, to understand, to be a catalyst within me to unlock something to get to my next level. And when you can be curious about that, it takes some of the heaviness, and it's not going to take all the heaviness. Some things are just fucking heavy, but it's going to
Hmm.
take some of the heaviness and it's going to be like, huh, like
Hmm.
I'll still look back to that and be like, I guess you were supposed to be in jail, bitch. Like, I don't know, like I guess you were supposed to be in jail. Like there's no reason I would have that amount of money, like down to a dollar. I found it was I had 318 and I found one last dollar rolled up in the bottom of my wallet.
It's
So,
so bizarre.
right.
It's
So
so bizarre. I believe in that stuff so intensely that you can't not acknowledge that that was like a, hey, Nicole. Yeah, see, this is my little sign for you. Here you go. Happy New Year.
yeah, like just again, I don't know why, but and that is like the place I want people to hang out with in their life and within the hard thing that's going on is I don't know why this is happening, but I'm open and willing to see what is here for me to learn. I'm open and
Mhm.
willing to see what again it's unlocking in me. I always think of people and clients I have that have this crazy experience, and I'm kind of wondering even for you, Sarah, did your situation with this narcissist and the situations growing up and the situations as a people pleaser lead you to start this podcast, right? Like, what is it unlocking?
Right. And what good is put into the world for that because those things happened. I think something too with you saying that these things are happening for a reason, but we don't know the reason. I always kind of felt like, okay, like maybe I would figure that out one day, like what the reason was. And some of those things, like obviously that's true. Like for the example you literally just gave, like, all of this shitty stuff happened. And at the time, I'm like, God, why? Is this girl continuously talking shit about me behind my back? And it's like, now I have a reason for it. But there's things like yesterday I slept through my alarm and I was late for the train. And so I was like, well, that sucked that I missed the train. And it was this moment that like I didn't panic. I wasn't frantic. I wasn't freaking out running to the train, doing all my things that, like, and angry about it. Now my days run like an old version of me, 1000% would have been a psychopath. And it was just kind of like this moment of like, oh, well, that sucked, but I can fix it and I'll just move on with my day. And so sometimes I think the reason could just be as simple as like showing you, hey, you got this. Like, let me give you this opportunity to use what you've been learning to practice everything that you're trying to implement inside. Because obviously, we can do all of the inner work, but if we're not triggered by anything, you're not gonna have the chance to practice it. So even almost switching your perception of what's happening to see it as an opportunity for growth and not using that as another means to beat yourself up if you screw that up, but just being able to say, okay, I operated from the place that I was at that point with the knowledge that I had at that point, and now 2 minutes later, when I realized that I handled that not correct, I have new knowledge and I can go forward and handle it in a different way. So I just think there's so many ways that you can find that, meaning behind the things that happen that aren't always going to be like right in your face. Sometimes like you kind of have to choose what the meaning is.
Meaning making is what our brain likes to do. And
Yeah.
so when we decide that waking up late means that we're a really bad person, or we're never on time, or we're really inconsistent, or we just can't get it together, instead of, oh shit, I woke up late. And there's also burnt toast theory, right? Like you burn your toast, you make another one, you wait 5 seconds, and now there's a crash in front of you, but 5 seconds could have been the difference between it being you. So
Hmm.
I just believe that I believe everything is happening for me. And that is
Hmm.
something I live by. Everything is happening for me, even if I don't like it, even if I'm not sure. I just anticipate and assume that it's cultivating something in my favor. It's saving me from something or protecting me from something. And I'll tell you that just affirmation alone, that idea alone, and that trust in the universe alone helps save so much anxiety, so much worry, so much franticness. I've never been type A. I'm always type B, but I used to be
Me
anxious,
too.
right? I used to be very anxious about, oh, I've got to get there really fast and I've got to be there really early. And it's just the acceptance of, do I want to waste my energy panicking on the way there? Do I want to take this energy and bring it into the rest of my day because this one moment went bad? And it's goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, is those choices.
Hmm. And just that it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't change the outcome. Like if you can find a way, and unfortunately, a lot of the time people find the way to do this because something really bad does happen. So, but if you can find a way to will yourself do this without something bad happening, that's great. But to surrender that you really do not have control over most things in your life. We have control over ourselves and we have control over our reactions, but that's about it. Everything else, you can be the master of your fate and you can go out and create the world that you live in 1000%. But at the end of the day, it's you and how it's the world is living through you. It's not happening to you. So it's if you can just know that and use that affirmation that you were just describing and let things go and just be what they are and trust that you are capable of handling whatever happens, you're going to be able to live even and kind of answer your question earlier, like even when you feel like shit, even when everything sucks, you can at least have that to like come home to and be like, okay, I know that like things are working out for me, things are happening for me, I'm okay, things are going to be all right, they suck, but I'm okay, and this is going to pan out however it's going to pan out, and I'm going to be able to ride that wave.
And maybe share it after, exactly as you're doing. Is sometimes the hard thing is so that you can help the next person through their hard thing. And I think that's what's cool about being human, is that hard life challenges are just part of the human experience. And when we
It's for
can,
the plot. It makes it more interesting.
I always say to clients, like, how boring would it be if you were watching a movie and nothing exciting or
Right.
hard ever happened to the character?
You
Like,
like reality TV, Nicole. Yeah, who likes
I
it when
love
they
it.
all get along? It's boring. I don't want to
It's
see them all
so
get along. I
boring.
want to watch them fight. It makes it more entertaining.
And it's more real. Like it's more real when people are human and showing all of those sides of themselves. So this is a good reminder that it's okay wherever you're at, and it's okay however you're
Hmm.
feeling. And if the world is triggering you, it's just a really good reminder that you get to go in and make new choices about who you are and what you get to have and how that looks for yourself. Is there
Hmm.
anything you feel called to leave people with?
You are good enough just because you exist. There is nothing that you need to do or be better at or improve upon in order to be worthy. Self-worth and your self-esteem are not the same. And you can build the self-esteem, but your worth is inherently there. So you have to just understand that and know that and remind yourself that over and over and over.
Self-worth and self-esteem are not the same. Just hear that. Actually, in one of my books, I wrote, you wouldn't go into the hospital and pick out the shittiest baby. Because we can
Yeah.
look at you can be like, oh my God, they're little miracles, like they're full of potential. Like,
Yes.
you wouldn't go in and be like, that one sucks.
That
That
one
one is
sucks.
not enough. Like we're born worthy. I love that reminder. This has been an incredible conversation. I know people are going to want to listen to your podcast. I know they're going to want to follow you. Where can they find you?
I am at Wellish Podcast everywhere, TikTok and Instagram. You can find me on my personals at Sarah.Ritondale. And then same for YouTube at Sarah Ritondale. Wellish Podcast, I mean, is where you'll find pretty much anything. You search that, you'll find me.
And I will drop all these links in the show notes. Sarah, you're amazing. You are just a breath of fresh air and a bright light. And we're so, so grateful you were dropping your knowledge today.
Yes, thank you, Nicole. I'm so grateful to be here. This was so great. And I'm so proud and honored to be a part of your mission. It's incredible.